Hello everyone, this presentation looks at how to prepare for your exams by using past papers. Before we start, you're going to need to download the worksheet from Moodle and you're going to need 3 past exam papers. To find exam papers, go to the library website and scroll down and you should see the link to past exam papers. If you can't find it, just use the search function on the LSE page and look for past exam papers and you should find them quite easily. Once you find the exam papers, you need to choose the relevant level, undergraduate or postgraduate, and then search for your course and your modules. And you need to download 3 exam papers from the same module. And also don't forget to download the worksheet because you're going to need it while we're working through this presentation. So for now, just pause this presentation and make sure you have those materials. Looking at past papers and analysing them is a really good way to prepare for your upcoming exams. So the plan for this session is to first look at the structure of the exams and the instructions for your exam, then to look at the way that your exam questions are phrased. Then we're going to identify recurring themes on your course. After that, we'll look at the timing of exam questions, and finally we'll talk a little bit about the importance of practice. So first, let's look at the instructions for your exam. So look at your question papers and look at what the instructions say. Make sure that you know what you need to do on the day. So here's an example for you. It says instructions to candidates, answer the following questions. There are 3 sections and there are different instructions for each one. So in section A, you've got 12 questions and you need to choose 6. In B, there's just 1 question and you have to answer it. And section C, you've got a choice of 4 and you need to answer 2. And then it gives you the mark allocation for those questions. So look now at your 3 exam papers and fill in on the worksheet what the instructions are for those 3 exams. And take careful note of whether they're all the same or whether the instructions vary from year to year. Now take a look at your question papers and see if you can see any patterns in the types of questions that are asked. For example, can you see discuss questions, comparison questions, or applying theory to practice? Do any of the questions have more than one part? For example, they might ask you to describe a theory and then apply it to a particular situation. Third, have a look for any specific requirements. For example, you might be asked to talk about a particular time period or a specific theory. You might be asked to provide examples, either specific ones or your own examples. And finally, have a look at which of these questions you would consider answering and make a note of those. So again, pause this presentation. Take a bit of time to look carefully at those questions and make notes on your worksheet. Now let's try to identify some recurring themes from your course within these past papers. So take one question paper and try to figure out what themes you can identify. These themes might be topics or theories that are addressed in the questions. There might be debates that occur within your field, or there might be problems that require solutions. And these themes might be within one question, or they might be across your questions. So go through your question papers. First of all, the first question paper, write down the themes that you identify. Look at a second question paper, again, see if the same themes appear or if new themes appear. Same thing with the third question paper. Do these themes recur or do you need to adjust those themes? So again, pause this presentation and take a while to look carefully through your paper and make a note of those themes. And once you've done that for all 3 question papers, make a note of your top topics or themes that you plan to revise. Okay, let's have a look now at the timing of each section of your question paper. So the example I showed you at the beginning had 3 sections. Section A, you needed to answer 6 questions. Section B, 1 question. Section C, 2 questions. If you have a look at the mark breakdown, Section A requires 30 marks, Section B requires 30 marks, and Section C requires 40 marks. So if all 3 sections have an equal number of marks, then logically you're going to spend the same amount of time on each one. However, as in this case, the 3rd section is for more marks, so you'd want to spend a bit more time on that. So check the patterns in your past papers, see if it's always the same so that you can calculate the amount of time that you would need. So for example, on this paper, if you've got 3 hours, you would want to spend 54 minutes on the first one and the second one, and then 72 minutes on the last one. It's really important that you work this out because timing is so important during the exam, and making sure that you allocate sufficient time for each question is really important. So again, take a moment, fill in the timing from your past papers onto your worksheets and see if you can calculate how much time you're going to need for each question. Practice is a really important part of your preparation for exams, and you can use past exam papers to do this practice. So what you want to do is practice under exactly the same conditions as those in the exam. So the same time limit, same lack of access or access to materials, and so on. One thing to pay particular attention to when you are practicing is how long it will take you to read through the questions and to choose the ones that you want to answer. So time yourself doing this so that you know how much time to allocate to this activity during your exam. Another thing you need to give time to is planning. If you're writing essays in your exam, it's really important to write a short plan before you start. This helps immensely, not only with your structure and organization, but also in terms of setting out a logical argument, sticking to the correct or the appropriate topic that answers the question, and also just helps you to remember and keep on track throughout the essay. The other important thing about practice is writing for 2 or 3 hours. You might not be very familiar with doing that, so it's really important to practice doing that. And practice can help not just with the content, but also in terms of time management, how you manage your exam on the day. And practice can make a huge improvement to your exam performance. So it's really important to practice as much as you possibly can. Last thing to remember, although we've focused on taking notes on themes and question types from your past papers, there's no way to accurately predict specific questions that will come up in your exam. All you can do is to try to identify patterns and themes. Reviewing past papers is one way to take a close look at your course material and to prepare efficiently for your exams. So it does help you to identify typical themes and topics that do come up regularly. Lots of luck with your exams. I hope you found this presentation helpful. Bye.